Magic word.
Hey, how are you doing? Good. I'm nervous. I told him I know, but I wrote this
What's the puppy's name?
Jamie's dog's name. So you're not proactive, are you? You're reactive, aren't you? Are you proactive? Respond? Yeah, I know. Respond. I'm somebody can handle it. You're responsible, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, you got halfway there for you.
Perfect.
When is the party?
You guys ready?
Wow. I'll be ready for you.
Thanks, Eric. Hello, welcome to Friday Nights for Believers. I'm very happy that you guys decided to show up today. We're going to talk about some things. And before we get into it, would anybody like to open us up in prayer?
Anybody? I'll pray. Please. God, I thank you for everybody here tonight and into your presence, and that you would just cultivate something in our spirits today and just continue to let us all live in victory and bless us with your presence.
Amen. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you, Jackie.
Okay. So, before we jump into the lesson itself, as I usually like to do, I like to kind of put the pulse in the church, see how we're doing when it comes to praise reports. So, does anybody have any praise reports? Also, things that God is doing in our lives. Yes?
So today, the resolution that Andrea and I put before Senate was approved. Basically, what that means is that the United States Senate is recognizing the work that's being done, just not by the families affected, our recovery community, because we put that in there at the same time. On National Day is now recognized by the Senate, so it's just, and it also gives the families that are working so hard to not have their loved one die in vain, that it's something to be recognized, that their laws is being recognized by the Senate. So it's just more, I guess, confirmation, and get us some more rooms and more doors and more schools and more stuff like that. So
That's awesome.
I hear that we're part of a church that we're making big movements, including into to our governments and things. I think it's really cool that we're making noise, lots of noise, and it's important for us to be making noise and be heard, because we got some things to say, and I think people should be listening to some of the things that we're saying as well. So thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Praise reports. Any great things that God is doing in our lives? Yes.
Adrian, I was able to, graduate the program here, the church program, and move on.
Yeah.
And being able to move on, God had other plans for me. I thought I was going to go back to school, but He kind of said, no, not right now. And I get to be active in treatment.
Yeah.
And being able to be of service in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm doing really good right now. And I live in Burbank. And I'm with a good crew out there. And I'm working in Studio City Recovery right now. And it's just going great because I got to utilize everything that I've learned in the church house and the work and the experience and all that stuff, and be able to utilize it in my actual job. So now that it just like spilled over into something different, something different, but yet the same at the same time. And then keeping up with my studies with SFU, any side studies like we talked about anger issues and stuff like that, things I'm working on.
Yeah.
you know, I'm able to change my life today because I want to change my life.
Yes.
You know, not because I have to or because I'm being told what to do. So it's starting to come from the heart instead of coming from the mind. So for me, yeah, I'm blessed.
I love it. That's awesome. We're making movements, right?
Yeah.
You see, they've been able to move forward, being able to actually make some differences and changes, accept some changes they may not been have been assuming it was going to happen or not. Just being able to kind of go with the flow, what that looks like, and you're being blessed with that. It's a beautiful thing to be able to go with the flow of what God's got in mind for us, and for us to be able to be like, wow, that's actually a much better idea than I had. So thank you, God. So that's awesome. I'm glad that you're going. Thank you for sharing. Yes.
The other night, I got a message saying that my daughter OD, we couldn't find her. I've been looking for her like a week,
Yeah.
and I haven't heard from her in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then everybody prayed with me, and they trust in God, and this is the time you gotta trust Him and just believe that He's there for me.
Yeah.
So last night, somebody had her. I had everybody in Oklahoma looking for her, and they found her. She's alive.
Good.
They're like, see, you just trust in God. He's watching you and protecting you. Man, I came in over here all grateful, like yes. Today I was so happy that she's alive. But I called the hospital, the jail, I couldn't find her.
Yeah.
So that right there, that was like, yep, it's true. I even told her, I was like, God is good. You just gotta get over there and we'll show you.
What a huge blessing, man. Sometimes we could be going through the darkest moments. As long as we don't blow everything up and make it worse, just hang on a little longer.
Then I found Psalms 27:5. It's like I can't remember it word for word, but it says in the darkest, like in the day of trouble, He shall cover me.
Yeah.
He shall hide me. And he shall shelter me in His tent, and he shall hide me, and He will put me up He will put me up on a rock.
Yeah.
That day I needed it yesterday. That's not. It was just so true. It's always amazing to me.
Yeah. I love it. That's really awesome. I love that story. Because it really, again, it proves that we believe in a God who very much watches and very much takes care of us. And it's important to remember that and be reminded of that. So thank you for sharing. Yes, sir.
I just want to say for once I feel peaceful and content, and I'm happy to be in this room with all of you guys. I love all of you guys, and I guess the word is like happy.
Yeah.
Like right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you.
Love it.
Thank you guys.
I love you, man. Martha, it's always a blessing to see you, man. I'm glad you're here, dude.
You too.
Yeah, a lot of cool things are happening in your life that you allow it to, so I think it's really cool. Is anybody else? Praise report before I jump into it tonight. Good. We are realizing, hopefully, every single week that God is constantly moving. Sometimes we feel like He's not, because we're not really opening our eyes enough half the time. But when we do, that's when the blessings come in. And I've said this many a time before, and I think it's important to be reminded of it, that we are constantly being blessed, and there are beautiful days, fantastic days even, and it's up to us to be able to recognize that. God already made the day, He already made the day beautiful, He already made the day fantastic. It's up to us whether we want to show up to a fantastic day or not. And I think it's important for us to constantly be looking out for it. To say, it's going to be a great day. It's like, why is it going to be a great day? Because God made today. It's up to me to be able to notice that. So when we don't notice that, that's because we got stubborn, because we got selfish, because we didn't want to see a good day. We do the blackout curtains, close up the blackout curtains, and we just stay in bed. And I think that is irresponsible, to say the least, for people who believe in a powerful, loving, and a joyful God. So thank you for sharing that with me. Let's jump into tonight's study. I asked, I think on Wednesday, a couple clients in the car, I asked, what should we be talking about? And it was said, let's talk about like complacency, what it feels like when you're stuck. You're not really moving forward, but also like you're terrified of moving backwards, but then you kind of consider going backwards, like that moment where you're just like in this place, but just feel like things are moving. And I went through this probably like twice in the past couple days about how it is I wanted to go about this, but then like I kind of like landed in a very specific spot. And I think it's interesting for me. I'm not sure how interesting it's going to be for you guys, but we'll see. I think it's going to be long. Hopefully it's not, but I'm never really good on time. I usually, whenever I say, oh, this should be short, it usually is really long. And maybe this will work vice versa. And this will be really short. Probably not a long talk. We'll start off with a nice little pretty scripture. Here in Hebrews 12, 1-2, it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance at the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. This is a very pretty scripture, but it very much is pointing to what it looks like for us to be able to understand that, one, since we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, who's watching? Everybody's watching. They're watching you now, they're watching your story later as well. When you tell your story, they'll be watching, they'll be listening. So people are watching. Great cloud of witnesses, it says. It says, let us throw off everything that hinders. Let's throw off everything that hinders. You ever feel like that? You're going through life, everything's going pretty good. It feels like something's hindering, something's latched onto you, and you're like, it's still there? And you're like trying to get off. Some people would say that monkey on your back. Trying to get that monkey off your back. He says, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. The sin that easily entangles comes to us and, again, latches. Easily. I hate that it says easily. Because it points out how weak I am that it easily gets attached to me. So, it says, and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance. Perseverance. Who wants to try to describe what that word means to them?
Keep pushing forward, like persevere.
I like that. Keep
Persistent.
Persistent. What did you say?
Nothing's gonna stop you.
Like Dory. That's great. Yeah, that's actually really great.
Someone on it.
Somebody else?
Nothing's gonna stop you.
Yeah, nothing's going to stop you. Unstoppable.
Just no matter what you go through, just keep on going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yourself up and go.
Just keep on going no matter what happens. So it says, let us run with perseverance. The race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. Fix our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer, the person that's sitting at the front row of what this looks like for us, and the perfecter of faith, the one who's responsible for allowing our faith to get stronger. So right here, if you ask me, it will be kind of like the core of what it is we're talking about today. This is usually how I see the process. You ever hear about somebody who is looking at a mountain and they're like, I'm going to climb a mountain? You know, people like want to climb Mount Everest or whatever the case may be. Always just like a thing. I feel like climbing a mountain is very similar to our lives, and this is a very highly used analogy. I feel like it kind of goes like this. Step one, I'm not doing anything. You know, I'm not climbing a mountain, I'm sitting there at the foot of the mountain and I'm not doing anything. I'm living my lame old life, not climbing mountains. And that's where I'm at, and I'm just kind of there. Kind of how it starts with everybody, so don't feel alone. You're not born climbing mountains. Don't start a place where you're not doing much of anything. Okay? Next in line, you know what? I want to climb that mountain. Right? You made a decision. You said, I'm going to climb that mountain. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to climb that mountain. I'm sick of doing nothing. I want to do something significant. I want to climb that mountain. All right? And next, I'm climbing the mountain. I'm actually doing it. Start taking a couple steps. Start going up the base of the mountain. You're actually finally doing it. Trying to do the steps and whatever that looks like for you. That's great. And then, I'm doing such a good job.
Yay.
Right? Because we're doing it. We're finally doing it. Climbing the mountain. It's happening. I'm doing a good job. I can do it. At one point I wasn't doing it. Now I'm doing it. I'm doing a good job. Because I'm doing it. I think it's to this point where we make it halfway. I made it halfway. Pat yourself on the back. Feeling great. Again, you did something you weren't able to do before, you didn't do before. You're not doing nothing anymore. You actually did something. You made it halfway. And then when you get to that halfway spot,
I'm gonna rest.
right? Makes sense. Whenever you watch any kind of documentaries or anybody who's climbed mountains, they find places to rest. It just happens. They have to rest. And because it takes so much work to be able to do what you did. You just started climbing a mountain. You never did that before. Remember when we started? You're not doing anything. So you finally start doing something, you get to that point where you start resting. I feel like a lot of people have felt this already. They were not doing anything with their lives, just floating around doing nothing. And then they get to a point where they want to make a change. you know what? I want to be able to actually make some progress. I want to do something significant. I want to be able to get out of this nothing but that I'm in. And then they start doing it. They start making the changes, start taking the first steps, whatever that looks like, to start climbing this mountain. Eventually, start noticing it's like, I'm doing a pretty good job. Just show up and people give you high fives for the things that you're doing because you recognize and acknowledge the fact that you're doing a good job. You're like, yeah, I am doing a good job. And there's times where you're like, oh, I feel like I'm not doing a good job. And then people remind you, no, you're doing great. So you know that you're doing a good job. You actually start doing that. And then it gets to a point where you hit a spot. And you're like, man, this feels good. I'm making progress. I'm actually going somewhere. And then you decide to rest. And you take that rest because, again, we've been working really hard. So then we get to that point where we begin to rest. There's a lot of people that feel this. I've done this and have gotten here. And this is how they feel. Or this is what they say. Why don't I feel better? You made all this progress. You decide to start walking up this mountain. You know that you've been making progress, yet you still have this question. Why don't I feel any better? I feel like I should feel something a lot bigger than what I'm feeling right now, but I'm not feeling much of anything. It feels as though I haven't made progress. It feels as though I'm not really moving. It kind of just doesn't feel like anything's happening. I expected, for me at least at this point, to be like, wow, everything's great. Wow, I feel a certain type of way. Everything's awesome. But instead, I kind of don't feel that. I feel like I'm like, I don't know. It's almost like a plateau, if you would. And I think that what this feeling is that you're tired and you feel incomplete. It's that moment where you're working your steps and you get to a certain point and you made a lot of progress. It's very clear. You're 3 months in, whatever that looks like for you. And then it just feels like nothing is really moving. And it feels like nothing's really changing. And it feels like you should have been feeling good by this point, but that's not really the feeling that you would actually use to define how you are right now. I think the reason why is because you're tired and you feel incomplete. I'm tired. I just got halfway up this mountain. I'm tired. Really tired. You're tired. If anybody feels like that tonight, I'll tell you what you're feeling. You're tired. You made a lot of progress. You did a lot of work. You're tired. That's what the feeling is. And the second thing is that you feel incomplete. You feel as though you're not finished with something. You feel as though you're not there yet. There's missing pieces to it. I'm not there yet. It's incomplete. What I will say about this kind of feeling, what this looks like for people, is that I never heard anyone boast about climbing half a mountain.
Right?
Never had somebody come up to me or heard on the news somewhere or some documentary and some guy's like, yeah, totally climbed half that mountain. No, that would be foolish because you're like, yeah, there's like a bunch of other people that actually climbed the whole thing. Why would you like boast about climbing half a mountain?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be that proud. You shouldn't be going on the news to talk about it and everything either. Try to tell everybody. But this feeling right here ends up coming up most of the time. Is where we feel like we should be boasting because we made it a certain point, right? Like we're done, like we're finished. But the fact of the matter is that that's not really what it is that actually happens to people. You don't really boast about making halfway up the mountain. You made progress for sure. But boasting about half a mountain, it's just like, yeah, are you gonna, finish? Are you gonna keep going? I feel like this ends up becoming something that we digest on our own. So we go back to this question. Why don't I feel better? This is what I think is the reason why we don't feel better. One, you undercut your efforts. You undercut your efforts. You give yourself enough pats on the back of what it is that's going on. Two, you confuse rest for complete. You got these two words mixed up in your head. Rest and complete. And the third one here, you romanticize what you left. That nothing time in your life. You romanticize that.
Is that kind of like war stories?
Yeah, they could definitely be that. You've undercut your efforts. To me, what this is, more than anything, is that we really get down on ourselves about all the progress that we make. This ends up looking like, for me, you've proved that you climb mountains. This is a great thing. You undercut your efforts. Oh man, I just didn't do enough work. I haven't really gone as far as I want to. You undercut your efforts. You used to not have a job, and now you have a job. You used to not have a good relationship with your family, now you have a good relationship with your family. You used to not be able to stay sober longer than 7 days, and now you're sitting here for 3 months. Why are you undercutting your efforts? You already proved that you can climb mountains. You're halfway up the mountain. What did you prove? You can climb mountains, right? I know how to climb. At one point you didn't know if you could or not, but now you know. I prove that I can climb mountains. So one of the problems is that we keep undercutting our efforts. Here, Romans 8:37 says, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. We are we're undercutting our efforts, yet we believe in a God who believes in this in us, that in all things we are more than conquerors. Conquerors? People who conquer? We are more than conquerors, is what it says. Through who? Him who loved us. We're killing it. We're doing a great job. We're moving forward. The reason why you feel incomplete, the reason why you feel like you're not, like, how come I don't feel better right now? It's because you undercut your efforts. You start to forget this. You start to forget a truth. And this truth is given by God. Second one here, you confuse rest for complete. Remember, it's the point where you rest, right? A lot of us get to that place where we rest. We're resting. But we actually not treating it like rest. We're treating it like complete. Like we're done. All done. It's just a resting spot. All right, cool. I'm just going to set up my tent here and sleep here forever and I'm good right here. That's a big problem. This is only a rest spot. Yet, you turned it into a complete spot. I got a job. Sober 3 months. I'm not as terrible as I used to be. I'm all done. My life can be over now. Take me out now, Jesus. I'm done. But again, we're not complete. We're just resting, but we confuse ourselves when it comes to that. And what are we proving at that point? You prove that you have low expectations. If you thought you were complete at this stage instead of resting, that means that you prove that you have low expectations for yourself. You thought that I was going to be just here when God's like, oh, wait, hold on. I was thinking like way beyond that. And I'm just like, no, I was cool with like this. This is fine with me. We can just end it here. It's like, yeah, your expectations are really low for what we can do together. Here in Isaiah 55:8, it says, for my thoughts, this is God talking, for my thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. The way that God thinks about us is going to be very different than the way that we think about ourselves. The way that God thinks about your future and what it is you're capable of, it's going to be very different from how it is that you see yourself. Guaranteed. Because he doesn't think like us. He doesn't. He has a very different mentality about how it is that he sees ourselves. Yet, we, again, undercut ourselves, the efforts that we made. And on top of that, we undersold how far we can go. You said, oh, is this where we stop? Am I done yet? Am I done now? Because I'd like to be done now. It's like, no, this is just a resting spot. We're going to keep going. This is where we begin to lose ourselves. And the third one here was you romanticize what you left. Romanticize what you left. You get up to halfway up the mountain. It's tiring. You did a lot of work. And you look back down, of course. You look back down to your little village, your little home that you left where you were doing nothing. And you look back down to it. And oh man, it was so warm down there. Oh man, my family is still down there. My friends are still down there. All the good times are still down there. And you look back at those moments, and you look at the town. The town is probably so tiny, and the mountain that you just passed is so much bigger than that. And you overlooked all of the mountain you just passed up and walked by to look at a tiny little town sitting at the very bottom of it. You know what I think that is? You prove that you're homeless. Let me explain what I mean by that. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, behold, the new has come. The old has passed away. You start believing in Christ, you start moving forward, you're brand new. Why are you looking backward? Why are you looking at old? You know what they say? They say, home is where the heart is, right? If your home is all the way back there in your past, that means you're currently homeless. You're walking away and you don't have a home because my home's all the way over there, because that's where my heart is. It's all the way over there in the past, all the way at the bottom of the mountain where nothing was happening. You're walking around homeless by that point. No home. Our new home is Christ. Our new home is Christ. Everywhere that I go, Christ comes with me, which means that where my heart is, it's with Christ and Christ within me. What that means to me is that anywhere I go, I'm home.
Come on, man.
Anywhere I go, I'm in the most comfortable place possible. Anywhere I go, that's where it is that I should be. I'm not trying to look backwards and say, that's my home over there. Well, if is that the case? Then you're not in your home. You're homeless, right? No, I believe that I am the home by this point. I am the temple where Christ dwells in me, which means that I am, everywhere that I walk, home. I'm home when I'm laying out there next to the pool in the Magic House. I'm home when I go to New Song and hang out with all my friends that are over there. I'm home when I go to the DMV. I'm home when I'm home. I'm home wherever I go. I'm home. And it's because if home is where the heart is, and my heart is with Christ, and Christ is with me, you can't stop me. Everywhere I go from this point, I'll be home. And I'll have that feeling of home. That's a practice. But that requires for me to stop looking backwards and saying, that's home. Stop doing that. Don't look at other places and other things and saying, that's home. No. You have home. You are home. Christ is within you. You are home. Jesus looks at you as home, dwells in you, calls you home. Yeah, we're over here pointing at things and places and time frames and saying, no, those are my homes, and now I'm sad because I'm over here sitting homeless. Don't be homeless. When I see and I look at the way that it works, is that the top of the mountain ends up turning into death itself. I don't think that there's a version of us being complete. It's not like, and I reached the top of the mountain. In my lifetime, I don't think I'm ever going to reach the top of the mountain. Never. I think I'm going to be climbing Mount Everest for the rest of my life. And every single time I thought I reached the top, it's just going to be another resting point. It's just going to be another resting point. I don't think I'm going to hit the top at all. It's just more progress and more progress and more progress. Me hitting the top would end up being death itself. Now I'm done. This is the crux of what I want to talk about. The thought is that I keep on feeling as though I'm not making progress. I feel as though I've plateaued out. I feel like I want to go backwards and I don't feel like I'm making much progress at all. You missed it. You missed what the experience of life is all about. If you thought to yourself that you were going to hit the top of the mountain in your lifetime, you missed it. Hitting the top of the mountain is when you die. And everybody hits the top of the mountain. Everybody. Which means that, well, so then what's the point of me climbing this mountain? Going back to this feeling. How do I not feel this way? How do I not feel like this then? Enjoy the ride. I feel the cheap angle. Enjoy the ride. See, every single one of us has this thought. If I would just finish this, and I'll be done, I'm complete. There's no version of this in our lives. Not for us. Not for us that are shooting for unlimited goals. When we believe in a God who believes in us and believes in big, big, big things, and we can't even comprehend what that looks like, I don't get to see the top of the mountain until I'm dead. Which means that I'm constantly going to be moving. So then what's the point? How come I feel this way? Well, you're not practicing this very specific thing. You need to enjoy the ride. You need to enjoy the process. You need to enjoy what it's like to climb mountains. You need to be able to look at these mountains and say, I like climbing mountains. Do you like to get to the top? I don't know, I've never been to the top. I've gotten to that point where I have to like climbing mountains. If you don't like climbing mountains, you're going to hate your life. Because that's all that we do. All we do is climb mountains. So if you're sitting here complaining about climbing mountains, how come I'm not there yet? Yeah, you're going to have a miserable life. I promise you that. I promise you that. I've had to learn this, and I'm still learning what this looks like, all because she decided to share that with me. I've mentioned this before. I'm a control freak. I need to know the times of everything. And that was thrown out the window when I got to hang out with you. And he taught me that lesson very quickly, and I got to understand what that means for myself. And to this day, I'm not looking for mountaintops anymore. Mountaintops is my dead time. I'm looking for climbing more mountains. Yeah. I'm just trying to keep climbing. I just want to keep climbing. And I have those moments of rest, and those moments are like, take a breather, it's cool, I like the view, but I like climbing mountains. I'm not going to stay here that long. I'm going to keep on climbing. You're not going to see me resting and setting up tent and staying there. It's not going to happen. I'm going to keep on climbing. If you find yourself being in a place where you're like, I'd just rather stay here, then you've proven by that point you don't like climbing mountains. And this is the reason why you feel miserable, is because you thought you were going to be able to get to the top and you were going to be done. Again, this is the crux of what I want to talk about. This right here, enjoy the ride, is such a huge thing to me that I see it in a lot of different aspects of my life. Who knows in here that I'm a nerd? Yes? Quite a few. Well, one of those things that I absolutely love in my whole nerd world is video games. A lot of people in here have played video games, and I'm sure it's hit and miss as to what that even means for a lot of us. From the Candy Crushers to the, I played Mario once when I was 3. The people that have played full-blown, RPGs like Skyrim and stuff like that. And again, I know that I'm going to say things that are just going to sound like, I don't know what you're talking about. And, because I know my audience very well. But at the same time, there's just like this deep analogy it is that I feel with myself that has to do with what this looks like. I want to explain to you a certain game that I absolutely adore. This game is called This game is an important game to me. It's actually a really amazing game. The series of this game goes all the way back to the 80s, late 80s. Right around the time that the original Mario came out, they came out with the Zelda game. Mario was all about running from this side to this side, jumping over things and not dying, right? Zelda was about exploration. It was about trying to see the world, if you would. And it was all on the Nintendo back in the 85, 86. And you're able to kind of like pull your imagination together what that looks like. Well, a lot of years have passed by since that first iteration. And this game came out in 2017, okay? And this game is very much the same concept. It is very much about, very specifically, it's about a princess is caught inside of this little castle here, and this guy Link, the character that you play, has to get there and save her. Very simple. It's usually how it goes, right? Well, in games, for the most part, they try to kind of like make you go through certain hoops, kind of like a movie, like go to this scene to this scene to this scene. Well, this game did something very different, very similar to a lot of RPGs. Anybody know RPGs like Skyrim and stuff like that? Very similar to this.
Elder Scrolls.
What it did, Elder Scrolls is good one too. What it did was say, get from here to here. I don't care how you do that. It's an adventure. It doesn't care. It says your experience is going to be the adventure. Your experience is going to be the game. So, to break it down real quick, we have main quest, side quest, personal grind. Okay. The main quest is your main objective, your purpose. Okay? In this game, it's like I said, just get to the castle and save the princess. That's your main objective. That's what you do. Okay? That's the main objective, that's your purpose. Someone were to ask you, hey, what's this game about? I'm gonna save the princess. Like, that's the game. That's what I'm doing. That's what it's about. And if you were to tell somebody, okay, cool, that's very simple as to what that might look like, right? Well, if it was just that simple, then the game would probably be only about an hour long and it'd be over, and then, like, that would be a pretty lame game. And $60 games, I can't justify that by if it's only going to be an hour. Side quests, on the other hand, are the small moments of conflict and development, moments of growth and interest. Between A and B, start the game, finish the game, there are all these side quests. These little opportunities to be able to have this conflict resolution. Some person is missing something, so you got to find it for them, and they'll reward you with something that's going to help you on your path. Go over here, somebody else is like, hey, I'm trying to build a thing, and so you help them build a thing, and they give you something that's going to help you on your path. All these side quests are there on your way towards the end of your main objective. That's what this is about. These are small moments of conflict and development, moments of growth, and they're also geared by interest, which means that the game doesn't force you to do them. You walk and you see it and you're like, that looks interesting, and you go and you do it. And it's, I want to do this because it looks interesting to me. I'm on my way to the castle. That looks interesting. I'm going to do that. That's what all these side quests are. They pull you off of the main quest to be able to do things based off of just interest. And the last thing, in between these side quests, personal grind. Small, mundane, self-appointed tasks to level yourself up. These little tiny things that are really kind of just grindy, like, I want to collect more of this because I want to get better at it. I want to get more of these things so I can have I can carry more weapons, so I can have better weapons, stuff like that. It's just make yourself better on such a small level. And you're able to do that. It's a personal grind, but it's small, it's mundane, self-appointed tasks. You're the one who said you're going to do it. This game's not forcing you to do any of this stuff. You make yourself do that to level yourself up.
Yeah.
This right here is just the game. I'm not going to get into just a bunch of crazy details right here. But this is kind of like basically what it looks like. We have a main quest, it's a main objective, getting there. Side quests, these little things that kind of distract us along the way as we're going there. And then our personal grind, the small mundane things that make us better as we're building across. When I look at these things, the first thing I want to tell you is that, before I get into kind of describing what I think about this, some of us would rather not play the game. It's the first thing I want to establish. I just explained to you that this is a full-blown adventure. It's a whole adventure. Some of us would rather not play the game at all. Some of us would rather not have the adventure. Some of us would rather just like give up, not start it, say that sounds great for you. I'm going to stay here in my house and do nothing with my life. There are some of us who would rather just not play the game. They won't show up to church, they won't read their Bible, they won't hang out with anybody, they won't do anything interesting, they won't push themselves, they will do nothing. They'd rather just not play the game. I'm not talking about those people right now. I want to talk about this, hopefully, to people that are willing to play the game. Is anybody thinking that they're gonna, I'm playing the game of life, I'm not talking about golf. I'm playing the game of life, I'm actually gonna get some things done? Alright, you guys are the ones that I'm talking to. So, the main objective is that you gotta beat this thing to be able to save the princess. You can try to end the game immediately, but it'll make for a short experience. The game literally says you can go straight to A to B and you'll be done with it. But you know what? It'll make for a pretty short experience. You can go there, it'll be very difficult to do it, but you can beat the final boss and save the princess in literally an hour. You can do it in an hour. And you can be done with it. You'd be like, wow, that was a waste of $60 and just kind of chuck it, right? You can definitely do that. It's possible to do this. To be able to go and be able to do the scary thing, right? But skipping the adventure makes for a boring story. There's so many of us in here. You could skip the whole entire adventure and get to the main quest of what it is you're trying to do. I'm just trying to be a businessman. I'm just trying to be a millionaire. I'm just trying to be a this. I'm just trying to do, I just need a family. I just need this and that. And we skip everything as much as we possibly can and try to get to the very end of that experience. And then we have nothing to show for it on the in-between of a story because we're too head in the books, didn't want to do anything else. We're ignoring the whole entire life experience because I don't want anything else. I want to just get the thing done. That's it. I just want to finish. I just want to be done with it. I'm a list guy. Which means that I'm just about tasks. Boom, boom, task done, task done. I just want to be like that, right? This ends up being the case for a lot of people too. Their whole entire life turns into just being a crossing off. I just want to get done with the main quest. I just want to be over with it. But it's just like, yeah, but then that means that your story, your idea of adventure, what you've been through, is going to be a boring story. Because you were blowing through the whole entire adventure of your life, what it means to go with the flow, what it means for God to have something for you, because you said, no, I'm doing this one thing. No, you're not going to take me off track. I'm just going to do this one thing. You can't take me off. I'm not interested in the adventure. I just want to get this over with already. I see that with people who come in and they need to get sober because they haven't been sober in forever. And then all of a sudden they get there and they're there 30 days and they're like, I need a job. I need a relationship. I need to move on. I can't be living here anymore. All these things start coming up real quick. When you're like, dude, there's a lot of adventure that you can have right now, but you're trying to skip and just get to the end already. You're trying to get to those points where you're like, no. Like, I just need to get to this point. Because nothing else is as interesting as this right here. It's like, yeah, you're not leaving room for growth. You're not leaving room for, again, going with the flow, what that looks like for yourself. You just end up seeing that you're cutting your experience short. I want to ask you a question. What's your main quest? Ooh. Anybody got some answers for me? What's your main quest?
You know what that reminded me of just now?
Yeah.
It reminds me of, like, I love to cook.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, like, when I was cooking for the clients, I would look to see what the meal was and skim through it, but I don't want to follow all the steps.
Yeah.
I can cook already, right? So I get to the main parts, I'll start making the meat and whatever, and then I'll be like, oh, what is it called? If you don't follow the steps correctly, it's not going to taste the best in the end.
Yes.
You know, like, there's a process to it.
Yes.
And if you skip through it and you just want to get to the meat and the potatoes, that's fine, and you can throw the ingredients in at the end. But it's not going to be as savory and as the best meal that you ever had.
Absolutely.
You know, because you're skipping through the process.
I agree. I have people that skip out on Chief's program. He believes in a year program. Ask him. He believes everybody, well, maybe not everybody. Most people should be staying here for a year, you know? Stay here for a year. He believes that people won't change until after a year. I don't care all the fun times you're having in the year's time. I don't care how many times you gave your life to Jesus Christ in a year's time. After that is when real life starts. After that is when you show, yeah, I've stayed here long enough. People say, like, I've been doing this for 3 months. 3 months? Like, it's not a long time. I'm sorry. I've been doing this for a year. That means something. You just arrived at that point. At that point, you just arrived. And when we get to that point where we're just like, I just want to skip the steps. I just want to, like, this is cool and everything what you got going on, Chief. That's really cool what you got going on here. Recovery place, it's really cool what you have going on here. Mom, Dad, whatever thing you have situated for yourself. but I'm trying to get to real success. So I'm going to skip this whole thing and get to whatever it is that I'm working for. If you're skipping vital steps, it may not come out right.
You're gonna get fed, but it's not gonna be the best
It's not,
thing
yeah, it's not going to be that great. Yes.
I'd like to get to the main level, put it back on the game. Like the main level of the game.
Yeah.
I'm at the age of 54 now, and I've been struggling since I was 9, and I keep getting to maybe a higher level each time, but then I fall right back down to the same level.
Yeah.
And then each time I fall back down to the same level, it seems like for me it's harder to get back to the level that I was at previously before.
Yes.
And it doesn't get any easier because it keeps getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
The levels seem to keep getting harder and harder.
Yes.
The higher you're going up this mountain.
Yeah.
And that's what I would like to do. I want to keep going up the courses of the game, get to my main quest, and to be the best person that I could be.
I love that. I agree with that too. I love that analogy because you're right. There's been times where I've been playing a certain game and I just like losing my brain because I just can't. You play the same level over and over. For some reason, you're getting worse at it, and like that happens to me quite often. And you're like, I need to somehow find a way to go forward from this. Yes.
So, my whole life has been like, I want to success, but I don't have like a certain thing picked out of what I want to be when I grow up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I just know I want to succeed, and I don't know what that looks like in what direction I'm going.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
I don't
That's,
know.
no, that's good though, because where your brain is at is that you want to do something that's important. You want to do something that's purposeful, but you're still keeping your eyes open as to what that looks like.
Right.
Anybody have an answer for this question?
Oh.
No?
I was answering what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
I was saying like, I would have it like finishing the game, then like turning it off without saving it, so then having to restart it.
I feel your pain.
And now I'm trying to like play it thoroughly so I can save the progress.
Be consistent. As much as possible. Thank you. Yes.
Like right now, my main quest is to be more like Jesus and to bring as many people with me as along the way as I can.
You guys didn't know this, but there was a right answer, and that's what it was. You got it. Nailed it. So the right answer to this question, and again, I didn't want to make anybody feel as though they had to find a right answer, but that was the right answer. Because I was going to answer with this, which is that there is just one main quest for every single one of us that are in here that believe in Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior. God is gearing the direction of our life. There's only one main quest, is to be able to do God's will. That is God. That's the main quest. The main quest is to tell as many people as possible about the joy and the purpose that you have in your life. That's it. If you don't have joy and purpose, then, do something about it, because that's the main quest. Our main quest in life is to be able to spread the gospel. That's why when people say, like, what's my purpose? Like, are you a Christian? Yes. There's only one purpose. It's to be able to spread the gospel. Like, that's the only thing. Everything else in the in-between, you can just like chuck in all kinds of different directions about how you get there. I don't care who it is that I am or where I'm at in my life. I don't care what age that I am. Whatever you're doing, there's an opportunity for you to spread the gospel. That's what it's all about. And what that means is not just, hey, I'm just trying to pass information like a note in class. It's trying to get other people to understand there's a love and there's a purpose for us all when it means to be connected to our Father. That's the news we're trying to press to everybody. The good news is that now I have connection to the Father. Now I have connection to God, the Savior, the Creator of the earth. That's good news. But if you don't know that, and you don't understand that, I don't know what notes you're passing. I don't know what main quest you're on. Because when you start making side quests the main quest, you cut your story short. All of a sudden, the side quests become more important. You're like, oh man, what a great game. And all you did was one side quest. You're like, that's a pretty lame game you thought that you played right now. There's so much more to this because the main quest is kind of a big deal. Instead, you cut it short and you went just for the side quest. And that's what we get into our next topic here. Side quests. Side quests are optional, but will build you. Only your curiosity takes you to side quests. As I'm making my way from where I am starting to the castle, there are all kinds of things that I can do on the in-between. And like I said, it's just my interest that takes me off path to get something done. But what it does is it builds me up. So when I see a little skull cave like this, and I see some enemies that are inside of here, and I see a little treasure chest up here, I know I'm going to beat them down so I can get to the treasure chest. Because that's going to help me out on my main quest. I know my main quest is hard, it's difficult. I have to get whatever that's in there. I have to be able to get past that. On top of that, I know, hey, he's got a pretty cool shield. He's got a nice weapon right there. I'm holding this piece of stick right here. He's got a stick with some bones on it. I want that one. I'm going to beat these guys down, get their stuff, and take whatever in this treasure box. And what that's going to do for me is that's going to make me stronger on my journey. These side quests that I'm getting myself a part of, these specific things, these are the jobs. These are the relationships. These are these big moments in time where something cool happened. Because what I will say on these side quests, because they're not the main quests, these side quests, they change. They're not really that big of a deal. You get a job, it's a big deal at one point, but then eventually it kind of loses its flavor, right? You make new relationships with people and it's really great, but then it kind of loses its flavor. You find a new restaurant you really like, it's got awesome food, and eventually it loses its flavor, unless you're like a total food nut, and it's the best food ever, forever now. But I just feel like everything loses its flavor. Side quests are like that. Because you know what? After I get this super cool shield and this awesome weapon here and whatever's in there, which I can almost guarantee you it's not that great, when I get these things, I'll be like really excited about it, but 3 side quests later, I'm going to find things that are better than these. And that's what happens in life. You get that job right out of high school and it's Jack in the Box and you're like, oh my God, is it the best job? It's because you went from no job to whatever job. And you're excited about that, and that's good. The same way when I get this is a low level shield. When I get this shield, I'm like, yes! I am like killing it right now. I can destroy anything and everybody, right? I can go into it easily. 2 side quests later, I'm finding something that can blow this shield out the water.
Yeah.
That's what happens in life all the time. If I make this the game, I'm short selling my experience. So when somebody says the main quest in my life is to live for my daughter, it's like, and this is a heavy one, I understand. Your daughter's going to hit an age where you're not going to be her main quest. She's going to hit an age where she's going to find other main quests in her life. And when that happens and you're left behind with no main quests anymore, that's when you feel like your game is over. That's when you feel as though you cannot make steps forward because you made the whole game about this one specific thing, when it shouldn't have been that. These side quests are important for us, but again, remember, they're optional. I don't need them. I don't need them. My connection with God is the only thing that I need. All of these other things that happen inside the experience in this adventure, it's optional. I can have that job, not have that job. I can have this relationship, not have this relationship. I have this experience, not have this experience. All these things are optional. But these things will build you. These moments in time, they build you. I don't know how many times I died the first time that I did this. The first time. I died a lot. How did I know that this was strong? Because I got hit with it and I died. How did I know that something in there is really not that great? Because I got into it, I'm like, seriously? I died 3 times for this? It doesn't equate to my excitement for it. I'm looking at these things and understanding all right, after the first time I died, I'm going to change my strategy. I want to come from this way and do this, this, and that. And then you die again, you're like, okay, I got to change it up again and do this, this, and that. What is that doing for us? It's building me. That's making me think a little bit more about how I want to handle these side quests, how I want to handle these moments in life, how I want to be able to look at it and be very tactical about how I want to handle that. It's not going to be as easy as I want that and just mosey on over and go up there and get it. No, you're going to die. You're going to fail. I have to learn what it means to be able to do that. So it will build me, and only my curiosity takes me to these side quests. I have to be interested in these things. A lot of us get to that point where we're not interested in playing the game at all. A lot of us are just like, I'm not, it's safer here in my room. It's safer here in my comfort zones. It's safer here with the only friends I've had for the last 10 years. Or I'm safer here with my family. I'm too scared to go out there and do anything. So curiosity gets you out there to learn something. Even if this is a low-level area, there are areas that are super high level. You go in there, you'll die immediately. There's nothing you can do. You're not strong enough, period. You're going to die every single time. And I have to die 25 times to be able to realize I can't go in that Coliseum. I'm not ready for it. And I marked it on my maps, I'll come to it later. But see, I have to learn that. I have to learn. I'm not ready for this yet. I'm not ready to go to a wedding because they're all drinking and it just throws me off. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready to see my family yet. Because they still see me how I was 5 years ago. I'm not ready to be around certain situations and places because they trigger me, they get me to a certain place. I'm not ready for that. How did you know that? I knew that because when I went there last time, it threw me off. I almost fell apart. I didn't physically die, but man, I emotionally died. Falling apart. But again, curiosity is what gets us to disciples.
So you learned that. This is an analogy of life that you're trying to compare it to, right? So you learned those things because you went through them, right?
Yeah.
So we have to learn our lessons, and we can only learn by going through them. Now, a wise man learns from their mistakes, and a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So if somebody would have told you, hey, Anthony, don't get caught up by these little, and just go straight for this.
That's right.
Would you have listened, or would you have still tried one or here or there?
Funny enough, given that analogy, and again, I didn't want to get too deep into this, so I'm not going to go that deep into it, but they're strategy guides. Those are the wiser men. Those are the ones that tell you how to do certain things,
But
right?
you still have to try one or two.
But I still have to try. You're right. You still have to go there and see if it even works for you. To see if he actually happens that way. And the strategy guide would be like the Bible for life. You know, like it's like the same thing for this. Being able to use those tools, I think, are really important. Yes.
Okay, this sounds weird. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, like,
Everything I've said is weird. Yeah. Right.
So I grew up with the curiosity of the cat kind of mentality, right?
Yeah.
But as I'm growing up and I'm out here from Oklahoma, right? I just came out here by myself, don't know nobody, just took a chance, right? Curiosity is what builds you.
That's right.
Well, why did they tell you curiosity was cat? Make you get scared to go out and figure things out, right?
Yeah.
But here we are.
I love it. Yeah, you're right. Curiosity is important. I don't like when people sit down and they just listen and they ask no questions. I've said this multiple times and I'll keep on saying it. If you have any questions about anything biblically or in general, I'll try to answer them, but biblically speaking, I want to answer those questions. I don't think anybody should be sitting in a pew saying, oh yeah, everything the pastor and everything the priest says is 100% gold. We should be curious enough to know why things are the way that they are. I don't believe God has created us to just sit there and just like, no, I'm not interested in learning anything. I believe God wants us to understand His heart, to understand why it is He does what He does. He wants us to understand those things. I truly believe that. So I believe curiosity is important. I believe that your openness for adventure will test your strength. Your openness for adventure specifically will test your strength. Remember, we're not people that are just trying to get to the end. Because remember, the end is what? Death. So I'm not trying to fast forward to that just yet. I'm trying to live some good life. And with that good life with God, I know that everything on the in-between is an adventure. And I know that the openness for that adventure, open to actually have that adventure, that's the stuff that will test my strength. That's the stuff that will tell you where you're actually at. Because you can talk a big game as much as you want about how strong you are, but it takes those moments in time that test your strength to see where you're actually at. And if you fail every single time, then you're, by definition, arrogant. You think highly of an exaggerated version of yourself. You're arrogant. Confidence is, I know that I can do it, and then you do it, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, the guy's confident, he knows what he's doing, and he's doing it. Arrogance is, I think that I can do it, and I'm talking like I can, and then I do it, and I can't. You're arrogant.
Come on.
A lot of us fall in this category of like, oh, I can handle this, and I can handle that, and all these different things, but you're not open for adventure. You won't go anywhere to test any of that out. Because when those tests come, ooh-wee, you fail. You fail. I want to be able to be open for adventure, to be able to test how strong that I am. I want to be careful about that for sure. I'm just not going to shut myself again, just go to the Coliseum, and be like, I think I'm just going to do it. It's not going to happen. I want to be able to test my strength through that adventure. What are some side quests in your life? What are some side quests?
Relationships.
Relationship, perfect. Yes.
Jobs.
Families, good. What was it?
Jobs.
Jobs, yes, absolutely.
Traveling.
Traveling, yes.
Friends.
Friends, yes.
Willingness.
Willingness is a characteristic, but I like where your head is going.
Mindsets.
What was that?
Change your mindsets.
Yeah, opportunities to be able to learn maybe. Maybe to get some training or going to schooling or something like that. Short-term goals are a piece of that as well. Yes?
Opportunities. Like I walk through doors all the time and I'll go around going, like a door will open, I'll walk through it, this door will open, I'll walk through it, and I'm doing it, walking through all the
I
doors.
love that. I said it often too. I'm not waiting for God to open a door. I'm going through doors until God slams in my face.
Yeah.
I like the idea that I'm sitting and waiting for God to open a door. Because chances are He has. I'm just like, don't realize that it's open. So I'd rather just like be up and going through doors. I'd rather be slammed in my face. Like, okay, so not that door. Got it. But yes, openness for that. Friday night Bible studies. An opportunity to be able to go somewhere. See, not every side quest is necessarily negative. I don't think relationships are negative. I don't think that being able to experience certain things in life is negative. If you ever talk to me and you tell me I'm going through this, and some people may know this already, I say, I think that's great. That's usually my response to like most things. They're like, man, I'm going through this thing, it sucks, and I feel depressed. I think that's great. I think that's great that you're going through that. Because I know after this, you're going to learn something. And when you learn something, you're going to be that much more stronger. Isn't that exciting? The answer is no, it's not exciting. But to me, in my head, because I'm not feeling it as they're going through it, that's exciting. That's a good thing. I think all experiences are good because we either learn from them or some reward comes out of them. And even learning is a reward. So we get to go through certain things in our life, and it's a great thing to have. Side quests are there. And the last one I have here is there are plenty of grinds. The grinds I was talking about, the little tiny things in the in-between. Right now he's making food. He can make himself some food and give himself some, like he can run faster, he can be more higher defense, higher attack, some little tiny buffs that are happening inside of it based off the things he collects off the ground. It says there are plenty of grinds to choose to be a part of, each with their own benefits. This becomes a personal choice of where you'd like to build strength. Grinds are all about being able to say, I want to be good at this one specific thing. I like this thing. I want to have more defense. I want to have better attack. I want to have more opportunity to do something, maneuver better, whatever it is. There are plenty of grinds to choose from to be a part of. And they all have their own benefits. And this becomes a personal choice of where you like to build strength. Where do you want to build strength? For me, this means our daily disciplines get us ready for notable moments. Our daily disciplines. On a daily basis. They're not side quests. They're little things that you're doing. The tiny things that you're doing. Whether it be taking breaths when you're in the middle of traffic, or taking breaths when that person's talking to you. You're moving forward in how you're working out more, eating better, health-wise. You're working more on how you speak to people, how you listen. All these little things, a couple of things that we said about characteristics of self, those are those side quests. Those are those the personal grinds. Those are those little things that you're doing all the time. They don't get high fives. Nobody notices them for the most part. But the daily disciplines get us ready for the notable moments. They get us ready for those side quests. They get us ready for the main quest. Those little things that you do on a daily basis, they seem small. To other people, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Why are you tripping on that? It's a big deal to me. It's a grind. I'm building something right now. I know you don't understand this, but I'm building something because I know this is going to come in handy later on in my life, in this adventure. Yes, sir.
That's why, to go along with that, like it says in James 1:2, consider it pure joy when faced with trials of any kind, because trials produce perseverance, which is, part of perfect faith. Yeah. Which produces perfect faith. Yeah. Yes. So it kind of goes in hand with that. Those trials produce faith and hope, which is.
Absolutely. And those are the pieces, those are the things that you're building again, piece by piece, small. Barely anybody sees this kind of growth. But when the time comes and you're standing in front of a certain person, all of a sudden, I've been working on this actually. I'm actually pretty good at it now. Before, when I wasn't working on it, oh man, I destroyed the whole entire opportunity. I died like 5 times. That's the kind of thing that happens, right? But now, I've been working on this one thing, knowing I'm coming for you. Like, this is going to happen. I'm going to get the right weapons. I'm going to get everything, the right armor, right everything. And I'm going to be storming into that place knowing that you're going down. Because I worked really hard and make sure I'd save my game lots of times for this specific moment. A lot of us don't do that. A lot of us won't even bother to get ready. You know what most of us do? We quit. We say, I'm just never going to go there. I'm just never going to go there. So we have an option. You're going to work on it and get better. But instead you quit. And he said, nah, I'd just rather not. You don't understand the reward that you can get if you actually pursue that side quest, that specific adventure. Our daily disciplines get us ready for notable moments. Daily disciplines. When people used to say stuff like, next year I want to do this, and that, I used to tell people, if you want to change next year, start today. If you're like, next year I'm going to do this, and that starts now. You have no idea, but your next year is very much intertwined with today. Highly intertwined with today. Which means that if you get to next year and you haven't done it, it's because you didn't start a year before. It's our daily disciplines that get us ready for these moments. What are some grinds? What are some grinds you can think of? Yes?
Waking up in the morning.
Waking up in the morning on time. It's a great one. Yes?
My college.
College, very good. Learning. Routine, absolutely. Yes. Swimming, that's a good one. You're doing a great job. Yeah.
Staying in the moment.
Staying in the moment, absolutely. It's a serious crime.
Morning Bible study with yourself.
Yes.
Routine.
Being able to connect with God, morning Bible study. Chief?
Following directions.
Following directions. It's probably one of the hardest grinds, for sure. Absolutely. Jackie?
Exercise.
Exercise, perfect. You're going to say that? Yes.
Not giving yourself those small permissions and maybe praying in the morning.
Yes.
Starting your day off with
Making sure you're praying in the morning. Making sure you're praying in the morning. It's a good one. Yes.
Staying committed.
Yes, staying committed. You make something, you know that something's good, and you know you have to stick to that, stick to it. Yes.
Showing up.
Showing up. That's a big one. Show up. It's a great one.
Meditation.
Meditation is a great one. If praying is speaking to God, meditation is listening to Him. So meditation is a great one. I like that. Yes.
Do what you say you're going to do.
Yes. Yes be yes, no be no, right? Be consistent with how you are as an individual. Yes.
Giving it over to God.
Yes. Being able to release to God. Surrender. Oh my God, surrender. It's not about I can change everything. It's about God can change everything. Why am I holding on to it? Why am I trying to be my own God? Yes. Welcome to Genesis all over again. Yes.
No excuses.
No excuses. That's a good one. Hey, SB said that. No excuses. Yes. Yes. Being able to work your steps, knowing that it's going to work for your recovery. Yeah.
Forgiveness and making peace with your past.
Yes. Forgiveness. You got to follow the leader though. This guy over here, professional forgiver. So you want to be able to learn forgiveness. There it is. Yeah.
Coming here, dedicated to coming
Yes. Showing up here is a great one. All these things that we're talking about, we know they're grinds. We know we do them all the time. A lot of these are not side quests. We know that. These are grinds. We have to do them all the time. And all these things that you just mentioned, they all get you ready for the side quests. All these things that you just mentioned, they get you ready for the job. They get you ready for the relationships. They get you ready for when a guy cuts you off or some person wants to fight you. They get you ready for all of these moments, these random moments in life. School, all of it. All of these things that you just mentioned, all great things, and I think we can all agree these are great things. These are the things that get us ready. Why do we not do them? Why do we not do them?
Fear.
Fear is definitely one of them. Laziness is absolutely one of them.
Rest.
We're too stuck in rest. I think that when we begin to really kind of break it down, we begin to notice that all of these things work together. I have a main quest. It's the main thing that I'm living for. Main thing I'm living for. I have the side quests, all the random things that are going to happen that's going to build me up. And then I have the grinds, the ones that are going to get me getting through these side quests. The personal grinds make the side quests easier, pushing us towards completing the main quest. Okay? I believe that these personal grinds we do on a daily basis, these little things that we're working on, those are the things that make the side quests, these opportunities to build and figure out where our strength is, give us an opportunity to make those side quests easier. It makes those moments easier, and they push us towards completing the main quest. Be able to actually making sure that our purpose in life is coming together. Another way of saying that to me is that experience fuels growth towards purpose. I know this is very heavy and wordy. A lot of $5 words in here, but experience fuels growth towards purpose. If I'm trying to go towards my purpose, then I'm going to need growth, and I know that my growth is fueled by experience. Everything that we go through, all the things that we do, all the things we get ourselves tied with, that stuff, experiencing life, not being afraid to experience life, that fuels growth. That fuels what it means for us to be able to become something. I didn't understand that until I moved in with you, honestly. I didn't understand what it meant to be able to have experience fuel my growth. Because I thought my knowledge was going to be able to fuel my growth. I thought if I knew something, then I can grow just by knowing something. That is not true. You can know that I have to fight that guy and do that thing and everything like that. You can read the strategy guide, but reading the strategy guide is not the same as playing the game. I thought my knowledge was enough, but that's not true. My experience was actually what fueled my growth. I had to go through a lot of pain. I had to go through a lot of great moments too. Successes. These moments where I'm like, I think this is how you handle this, and I did it, and it worked. That gave me the confidence to want to do it again. It gave me the confidence to be able to teach other people that's how you do it. The failures came in when I thought I knew how to do something, did it, and failed. And I said, okay, well then how do I do that a little better? What's the thing I'm missing? You go back, listen to some people, and you go back and you do it again. It's the experience that pushes our growth. And the more that we grow, our growth is pushing us towards our purpose. If you want to know, how do I take care of this purpose thing? Well, you need to grow. Well, how do I grow? You need to experience life. You need to have an adventure. The adventure lasts longer than the ending. This is the thing that people don't seem to understand. So we're always trying to get to the end goal as fast as we can. We want to skip the whole entire adventure in the middle part. You skip the main part. This game, I told you can finish it in an hour. It took me 75 hours to beat this game. 75! Which means that only one of the 75 hours was devoted to the end. 74 hours was devoted to actually experiencing the game.
Geeking out.
Right? Highly recommend it. It's a great game. 74 hours of this game was that. And I remember. Put myself in a coffin. Sorry, right? Put myself in a coffin here, but that was the first time I played it. So for me to be able to go through this game, I remember getting, because you go through this whole entire adventure, right? It tells you that's where you need to go save the princess. Okay, I went through this whole entire experience of going through the whole entire map, collecting and doing all kinds of things based off my curiosity and adventure. I remember getting ready, and I knew that I was ready to be able to go in and fight the main boss. And I remember being like, yeah, no, I'm just not going to do that yet. And I remember just keeping wanting to live the experience. Because by that point, at first, when I first played, I was like, I just want to get to the end. But I began to notice the experience itself, that the adventure was much more fun than the actual end. And I was still, after I did beat the game, the adventure was way more fun than the end. What that means is that as we are trying to fast forward ourselves to the end already, just get the job, just get the this, just get the that, just try to be successful as fast as you possibly can. You're skipping through what quite possibly may be actual life, actual experience, actual adventure. And once you start tasting it, and once you start seeing it, you get to that point where you're like, you know what? I think I could snooze on that. I don't think that's the most important thing right now. I think what's most important is being able to experience things. And I've learned that with Chief. I've learned that this last Sunday, Chief, you can agree or not, was the best Sunday we've ever had.
Definitely. This last Sunday was the very best.
That's right. And if I'm not mistaken, today, what's today? Friday? Is the best Friday we've ever had.
Best ever.
It's the best Friday we've ever had. Yesterday, Thursday, it's the best Thursday we've ever had. See, when you start to figure out that life, the adventure, is the most exciting part, every experience is the best experience you've ever had. Everything that you do is great. Because you know there's just so much more. There's just so much more. There's just so much more. It doesn't have to be just, let's just get this over with. This could be, I can actually feel this. What was that?
You missed the beauty of it all.
Exactly. And that's why when we talk about enjoy the ride, another big one we say all the time is love the process. Love the process. It's not about finishing the game. It's about experiencing the whole thing. We have a game to play, and it is an adventure. If you are not being adventurous, you're not going to like this game. You're going to plateau on that mountain and say, how come I don't feel like I'm making any progress? It's because you're trying to get to the end. That's your main goal right now. I'm just trying to get to the end. That's it. I don't care about side quests. I don't care about grinds. I don't care about anything else. I'm just trying to get to the end. You're living a boring story if that's your story. Open it up, get curious, and be excited about the adventures you're going to get on. After we end tonight, tomorrow, which is probably going to be the best Saturday ever, right, Chief?
Oh, you know it.
As you go into the weekend, as you go into this week, when God says, you know what, don't worry about what's going to happen next year. Worry about what's happening today.
Yeah.
What he means by that is like, trust me, there's a lot of great things happening today. Open your eyes and try to see it. Open your eyes and try to feel it. Change your perspective. There's a lot of amazing things that are happening right now. And I think it's really important for us to be able to, start realizing those things. That's all I have for tonight. Lisa, would you like to pray for us?
Thank you.
Also, but he says in his word, this is our daily bread. Give us this day our daily bread. So he gives us our portion daily.
Yeah.
Our little manna from heaven. That's why I just can't worry about tomorrow or after year or whatever. Because he's going to give us our portion.
He's going to take care of us. He's going to give us the adventure. Do we want to be able to say yes to it or not? I agree.
Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much for this study, Father God, for providing the place to do it, Father God, and just for allowing us to be in your presence today, Father. And I just want to lift up each and every heart to you, Father, on every concern, Father God, that's heavy right now, spoken and unspoken, Lord. May you cover us, may you continue just to guide us and give us that little nugget, give us our portion, our daily bread, Father God, today, Lord, that only you can provide, Father God. I just pray, Father God, that we leave here safely, that we make it home, Father God, and just continue to touch us in a very special way.